where they have burrowed out. That used to just go down and just be bricks, and now it's just a pile of dirt in the corner. So that's not good. So what that means for me is that right now in January, it should be kind of smooth sailing. I should be, starting a few seeds up and really just doing garden bed prep and waiting for the remnants of the winter garden to come through. But since this is happening and I don't want to ruin the spring and summer crop and wait and see if it gets worse, I'm going to have to dig up all these beds where they have burrowed out. That used to just go down and just be bricks, and now it's just a pile of dirt in the corner. So that's not good. So what that means for me is that right now in January, it should be kind of smooth sailing. I should be, starting a few seeds up and really just doing garden bed prep and waiting for the remnants of the winter garden to come through. But since this is happening and I don't want to ruin the spring and summer crop and wait and see if it gets worse, I'm going to have to dig up all these beds.
So I think I could probably reasonably trim that down to 7 varieties, right? Because if I grow one green zucchini and one yellow zucchini and then a lemon squash, and there are a few others that I have every year, I could very easily narrow that down to 7. I could probably go down to like 5, which I might do because based on this list, I also would only have 6 winter squash. And I can already tell you that that's probably not enough to grow all of the different varieties that I want to try this year. So I've never grown tomatillos before. They are insane plants. They keep growing and they grow insane. They're crazy. They're kind of like an indeterminate tomato on steroids. They just keep growing and they grow in every single direction. And you don't even know what to prune because you're like, is this the main stem? I don't even know because I can't tell. I can't see. So I'm only doing 4 of those. You only need 2 to cross-pollinate, but I'm trying my luck with 4 because I haven't had great success with germination and transplanting tomatillos. The first time I tried growing them, I did get a good harvest, but I remember starting like 6 plants and I think I only got like 2 of them. Pro tip, when you are buying marigolds, make sure you read what kind you're buying because these look exactly the same as the other ones that I bought, but there are a shorter variety. So this one is the little tiny ones that you usually get in the little Mother's Day. That's the first thing I think of when I see marigolds are like the little Mother's Day arrangements. But they also have like a 30-inch version, and I did not know that the first time that I bought marigold seeds. So I ended up with the really, really tall ones. It was fine. They went next to my tomatoes, so it wasn't a huge deal. Are like the easiest, peas and beans are like the easiest thing to save seeds from, because you literally just wait until it dries on the plant and then grab it before it scatters across your soil. So I've had good germination rates with that before, so I didn't do any germination testing for that one because it's probably going to grow, so I'm not too worried about it. I'll just seed a couple in each cell. So I thought I'd pose the question, does asparagus like full blazing heat? Can it take full blazing heat? Because the place where I was going to put it is pretty darn full sun all day long. And I'm wondering if I should try to find a place that's more shaded out in the afternoon because it does get really, really hot here. And I don't know if asparagus can handle that. I don't know. Step 3, you probably want to have a buddy. The buddy system is what I should have utilized. It was really difficult to cut the wire by myself because it's such a long roll. My greenhouse is about 24 feet long. So that's what I bought. I bought a 24-foot long roll, and it's really big and heavy and cumbersome. And having to cut it as you're holding it and angling it, and it was just, it was a big old mess. So basically, that wasn't... Whatever you're planting, you don't want the twig to be as big as the seed that you're planting, because the seed could get stuck. It could try to germinate, and then it could go like this, and then it could go like up against like the stick. Yeah. And so if it's that big, then we get rid of it.
Honestly, I just want you to record that just to see if the plant actually goes.
It does. I've seen videos.
I'm going to put a twig in there for experiments.
We've seen videos. We know that's exactly
There's
what
also
happens.
this.
So Becky at Eco Homestead did salsa bags where she took all of like her big cherry tomatoes and leftover little cherry tomatoes that she didn't want to process, onions, garlic, and a bunch of hot peppers, and just threw them in a freezer bag.
Okay.
And stuck them in the freezer. And then over the winter, you just grab a bag, stick it in a roasting pan. Okay. Roast it, blend it. You have fresh salsa.
Fresh.
Over the winter. Fresh salsa over the winter.
Just.
Well, because it's not fresh, it's frozen.
Fresh?
It's frozen. But it was fresh at one point. But if you plant the same varieties, like right next to each other, like 4 to 6 inches apart. Okay. Then they like hold hands and they support each other. And they're like, they become little friend plants.
I like how they're still the same distance, like in middle school when you're supposed to dance with your partner. Yeah, exactly. And they get like a ruler.
Oh, yeah, they're holding hands. They're not groping each other. You don't want your plants to grope each other. It's too much. They won't get enough sun. We are making progress. My garden, these plants are so insanely prolific. I've gotten so many peppers off of these plants. It's insane. And they produce pretty early because they're not very big. They're only about this big and, little tiny peppers, but super prolific plants. And I love chopping those up and like using them in omelets. And they're just a very, you can use them in a lot of different applications. Very versatile. I don't know if that's just me or the fertilizer that I use or what, but all of the regular standard California bell peppers that I've ever started, like I'll get a few big bell peppers per plant. Like it's not insane. Like some of the other peppers that I start, I get like bushels and little handfuls. And I think I can link to the pepper harvest video I did at the end of last season. And that was like 3 plants, and I got like a giant basket full of peppers at the end of the season. So I think I just have better luck with all of the different fun varieties of peppers. So I'd never heard of this before. It is a layer of plastic, and it has like little tubes in it, and you fill them with water, and it creates like a little mini greenhouse for the plants. And it says online that you can get an extra month of growing time generally out of using these. So we're going to have those raised beds out here instead of in the greenhouse. Then I'll be able to control the soil a lot better too. So I'm super excited about the new plan. And my husband's very smart. He's a very smart guy. And thank him for coming up with everything. So I'm super excited about the projects over the next coming week. Are perennial, which I knew, but they're invasive, just like a blackberry or a raspberry bush would be. And so I also got told not to put them anywhere that I actually cared about what was next to them, which has brought me to the conclusion that the goji berry is going to be in a pot, and that's just where it's going to live. And I don't think it likes a lot of sun. And honestly, putting it in a pot, maybe I'll put it in a grow bag. That's probably a better idea. Why I did any winter sowing at all is because for the last 3 years, Leo, what are you doing? So for the last 3 years, I have tried to start my own lavender from seed, and I just have had zero germination. The very first year, I know it was me. It's probably been me all years. I don't know how I'm kidding. The first year, I just threw it in some soil and nothing happened. And then I learned that you have to cold stratify lavender. And so the next year I did the refrigerator trick where you're supposed to put it in a wet paper towel, in a baggie, in your refrigerator for like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. I don't remember the exact timing on that. But that's what I did. I followed all the rules. I still got 0 germination. I completely ripped up everything, but I learned that celery is quite a feisty little plant. It came back, and honestly, it's not that easy to germinate. I have a couple of celery plants that I've germinated inside, but not nearly as much as I want. It's just super useful. So I'm going to dig out some of the celery I had from last year, put it in a pot, see if I can't keep it going. That I started for the water wall experiment. And as you can see, they are ready to be up potted. They have a couple of strands of true leaves. Most of them do. This one's a tomatillo, that's why it looks a little bit different. And then I have my basil starts over here as well. So the tomatoes are ready to start up potting. The ground cherries I'll probably leave there for a little bit. But these tomatoes, I need to get them into bigger pots. It's just running out of nutrition. And the peppers back here. All right, the new leaves look great, but all of the old leaves are turning purple. And I think it's just a nutrient deficiency thing because they've been in these little tiny pots for way too long. The eggplant is looking great. Those are looking wonderful. I don't see any signs of stress on those. Some of the peppers look good. The Tabascos look good. The habanada, I got one to germinate. I found another tray. Hopefully it'll be enough to fit the rest of these. And then I need to get some seeds started. I need to get some flowers started. I need to get some more tomatoes started. And I'm going to go through my seed box just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But basically I need to make sure everything is started except for my squash and my cucumbers. Everything else should be started. Oh, well, I guess corn too. Those things I start much, much closer to my actual last frost date. I plant my onions and my peppers together in the same bed because it really helps with pest pressure on the peppers, especially when they're young. By the time the peppers get big enough to be overshadowing or bunching out all of the onions from the sun, the onions are ready to pull. So it's a really good, easy way for me to companion plant in the greenhouse, and it worked out really well last year, so I'm going to continue to do the same thing this year. It's really dry here, and so keeping them watered during the summer is actually pretty difficult. It's kind of a daily thing that you have to keep up on, and I'm not the greatest at daily watering. So we'll see which one does better and if I get any sweet potatoes at all, because I've never done that before, so we'll see what happens. But over here is where we're putting the metal raised beds, and I have 1, 2, and 3 over here, and then there's room for 1 more. So I have not fertilized any of these beds, and I did that on purpose because I don't want to shock these plants. So I guess something that can happen if you fertilize and then water in plants is you can actually like fry their roots. And I think that's only really a concern with not organic fertilizer. But since organic fertilizer takes a while to break down in the soil. The first update is actually a sad one. My sweet potatoes did not live. I think there's one little sad plants left in that grow bag. So I have some potatoes. They already have eyes popping out of them. So I'm going to put them into those grow bags instead. And then the sweet potatoes that I have left inside, I'm going to save those for the greenhouse. And I know that this looks insanely close for peppers, but I do this every year with my peppers. And I put the same types of peppers. So these are both Jimmy Nardellos. I put them very, very close together. They're about 5 inches apart maybe. And that's so that as they get bigger, they kind of grow into each other and help support the other plant. Because especially with these bigger peppers and the bell peppers, not so much with the shishitos because those are smaller, but the bell peppers, the cubanelles, the Jimmy Nardellos, they're all like honkin' big peppers, and they start to just flop over under the weight of their own peppers. Some of these peppers, y'all, look amazing. Like the Sugar Rush Peach, like this one started really, really slow, and now it's starting to look really good. And then some of them, like the habanero, it's just the tiniest little thing I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, I grew habaneros, I think, was it last year? Maybe it was 2 years ago. And I did get a harvest. I did. But I think it took me until like August to get any peppers out of it. So that's why I started all of my peppers extra early this year, because I didn't want that to happen again. But with some of them, man, they're just tiny. I don't know if it's gonna really make a difference. But it takes eggplant a while to grow. They're kind of like peppers, and we don't have the longest growing season here. So thought it would be easier to try my first time with eggplants, growing something that is smaller, has a shorter days to production for my climate. And then who knows, if it does well, maybe I can branch out and try other kinds. But we're gonna start with something that hopefully has a better chance in my climate. Super excited. We are getting tomatoes in the ground today. So earlier in the week, I was trying really hard to get all my peppers and tomatoes planted that are going in the greenhouse, and it didn't quite get to the tomatoes, but that's okay. We're going to tackle them today, and I also have some eggplants to get in the ground. All right, so a few days ago, we got all of our sweet peppers in the ground. They're looking beautiful. And then over here in this bed, we have hot peppers. They're looking all right. They're doing good. And then over here, I put in some ground cherries, the cayennes, and then this is a habanada. And my dog came in here and he stomped on it. So I really hope I'm gonna get this pepper. I hope it works out, but if not, I'll be a little sad on that one, I'm not gonna lie. But this whole rest of this bed is going to be tomatoes. A few odds and ends over here that I need to reorganize so that I can free up some room for the squash and all the things that are going out. The squash and the corn, oh my gosh. Those things are going to be planted out in just a few weeks. So I need to reorganize all this and make some room. I'm so excited, you guys. We're getting so close to our last frost date. Seedlings are like babies. The chubbier, the better. All right. And last in this bed, we have the shishitos.
So I got them all situated and leveled, and I also had a sprinkler at the far end of this big raised bed, and I bought an extension for it. So the beds are 12 inches. I bought a 12-inch extension for that sprinkler head because I'm hoping that I won't have to run drip line through these beds, because that would just be an added thing to do. So I was able to get these leveled and get some dirt in them and get them ready for planting.
All right, so we're about a week and a half out from our last frost date. I just double checked, and I'm going to get the tomatoes in the ground because I have those little water walls. And honestly, I could have done it a couple of weeks ago, according to the water walls. But these beds were not set up. So me procrastinating on getting these beds set up really set us back with the tomatoes. But that's okay. We're still making up time. And the ones inside the greenhouse I did get planted. So I'm going to go grab the indeterminate tomatoes that are going to go in these beds. We'll get those in the ground. And then I think we're going to be done for today. All right, next we have my absolute favorite. I saved a bunch of seed for this one from last year. So I'm going to use up the seed that I have. Yeah, there's only 4 left. So I'm going to use up the seed that I have, and then I have a big old jar of seeds that I saved from last year because this one is amazing. It's lemon squash, and it's just a little tiny, I don't know, baseball size, I guess, is when I harvest it, and it's delicious. It's sweet. You can chop it up, use it just like you would a green zucchini. I put it in zucchini bread. You can put it in stir fries. You can do whatever with it, but it is naturally resistant to squash bugs. So this one, I'll try to find a picture and put it up here. So last year, most of my squash succumbed to some kind of pest pressure by the end of the season. And this one plant that was the lemon squash, it was gigantic and flourishing, and I got so many squash. So my last frost date is in a week. I might wait out another week after that to plant these out because they are so cold sensitive. I don't remember if it was last year. It must have been last year or the year before. I did not know, this is Long Island cheese pumpkin. I did not know that a lot of squash, it's not just that they're frost tender, it's that they're even slightly cold tender. And not even in the way that, how do I explain it? Like a pepper can technically go down to a frost. It's not good for it. It doesn't like it. It can stunt it, right? But the plant will still survive. There are a lot of squash where if it gets below 40 degrees, they just die. And I didn't know that. This one I can't pronounce, but this was another one that came from the M.I. Gardner grab bag. And apparently it's a really big pumpkin. Oh yeah, look at these. Look at these fat seeds. They're chunksters. They're not just big, they're stout. All right, what's it called? Oh, I can't pronounce that. Jarhar or something. Jaja Binks. The Jaja Binks pumpkin. So I have a little bit of Indian corn from last year. This is what I grew in the far end of that bed over there. And I liked this one. I just used it for decoration because I literally got like half an ear out of it because I didn't plant very much of it. Corn doesn't last very long. The seed doesn't last very long. It's like onions. It's like a 1 or 2 year thing. And I had this seed for a while. And so I just wanted to get it in the ground somewhere. So I have that one. It's a 100-day variety. This one is a sweet corn, peaches and cream. And this one is 70 to 85 days. So that's a lot shorter. So I can do the Wando pea because that one can handle a little bit warmer temperatures. And I'm going to do that one. I also have some Wando pea seed that I have saved from last year. I love Wando peas. They are so good. And they're a shelling pea. And I love just being able to pull them out and throw them in a stir fry or whatever for dinner. Start planting out soon. And we're just a couple of days from our last frost date. I don't see any frost on the forecast, but I have learned to not jump the gun because one time it was like 2 days out from my last frost date and I didn't see any frost on the calendar for 2 weeks, right? And then all of a sudden my last frost date came. I was super excited. I planted things out, and then the next day it started snowing. because we live in the high desert, so why wouldn't it? So I learned to be cautious. So the very first year that I grew tomatoes, I had tomato hornworms gnawing all over my plants, and it made me very sad. And every year since, I have interplanted a bunch of basil, and I haven't seen a tomato hornworm since. The flowers and the basil are interspersed with the tomatoes, and more over here. Got some sunflowers, got some marigolds, all the way over here. It's looking good, guys. All right, so I did save 2 trays of basil, and I'm gonna put those in the green stalks. So I have cinnamon and licorice basil that I'm gonna put in the green stalks. There are some lettuce starts in there that have gone to seed, and so they're ready to come out. I've gotten a few harvests off of them, but I know I just said it's just our last frost date, but it gets hot here really, really quickly. It goes straight from freezing to all of a sudden it's in the 90s. So, fun fact, have you ever seen what a tomato hornworm turns into? Because it's like the caterpillar stage for these gigantic moths. And the moths like literally look like they look like hummingbirds. Like they're really big. And I'll see if I can find a picture and put it up on the screen. So the first year I grew tomatoes, I had no idea that that's what they turned into. And I saw just these giant things that looked like hummingbirds. Oh God. Did anyone see that? Oh goodness gracious. Oh, y'all, there was a wasp on the side of that container. Did you see that? I swear I wasn't freaking out for nothing. These guys, what are they doing? They just don't want me to plant. Ugh. Y'all, I just need to get these in the ground and water them in. That's all I want in my life right now. And these wasps just don't want me to do it. I don't want it in. Oh, look guys, there's a little, can you see the little ladybug? Oh, it's orange and it's so cute. Alrighty, so I'm gonna get to digging and planting and get all these in so that I can get them watered before I bake to death. Alright guys, the wasps have spotted me, and so we're gonna do our best to get this done quickly. They're coming for me, y'all. They don't even care that I'm trying to plant, and then I'm late in my planting. Alright, these are Black Beauty. And same thing, I overseed. I always put 2 or 3 seeds in every pot. And because just germination, I just don't have the best luck with it. And so there's 2 really close together. And if I end up having to come back and thin a little bit, then that's okay. These are Egyptian walking onions. So they're starting to fall over and bulb, and what happens is these turn into little tiny onion bulbs. They fall to the ground and then they reroot themselves, and that's why they're called walking onions. So that's super fun. My dog actually came out and he was jumping on these lower branches. He could jump up and just barely reach some of the cherries, and so he came inside and his teeth were all red and we like thought he was bleeding or something, and he was just eating cherries off the tree. These ones are a year younger than the rest of them, so this is only the 2nd year for this one and this one. And as you can tell, there's a big soil quality difference between right there and right there, and it's because it gets rockier and rockier as it goes. My ground cherries, this is literally 2 ground cherry plants right here and right here. This was a mistake. I did not expect my ground cherries to go this insane. I had grown them before. They did not do this. And so, yeah, live and you learn. So I'm not even really that fond of ground cherries. So next up, we have more peppers and onions. And it looks like I have a volunteer lemon basil in the back there, which is super exciting. I love lemon basil. It's absolutely my favorite basil, and I love making tea out of it. So I'm going to let that one go. Wow. This is only 2 plants, y'all. I have grown ground cherries before, and they did not get even kind of this big. So I don't even know what was in the water with these ones, but it's intense. What I do know, though, is I like tomatoes more than I like ground cherries. So if I'm being made to choose between the two, I'm going to choose tomatoes. I'm not a ground cherry expert, and this was the top comment on Reddit, so I think I'll be fine if I butcher it. I really just want to make sure that it's not overpowering the tomatoes that are right next to it. I did already transplant. There was a habanada plant right in there. I transplanted it out because it was just getting shaded out and stunted. So I still have some spinach and stuff in here, but I'm going to go through and take out all of this lettuce. This is a butter crunch lettuce, and it's trying to go to seed right here, just because it's too hot for it, and it's just time. So the strawberries I'm going to leave in there. I'm still getting a few strawberries off of these plants, so I'm going to leave these in here. And then what I'm going to do with all of the free spots is I have a bunch of bush variety of beans. So I have a ton. I also have the provider. So before I sign off for the day, I did want to show you that the climbing beans have started to germinate. So they're ready, they're coming, and the corn is about 8 to 10 inches tall now. So it's going to have something to climb up by the time it starts getting going. Oh my goodness, you guys. Look at how huge that is. That barely fits in my hand. That's like the size of a baseball. Oh, and it does have a couple of little knobbies in there. I can probably just replant those. Wow. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, man. So that's probably the biggest one that I've seen so far. Oh, that's like almost softball size. That's crazy. Crazy. I'm always afraid that things are going to die and just not do well. And so I don't pay attention to the full potential of these plants when I'm putting them in necessarily, because I struggle with squash bugs really bad. And so I thought I was going to lose half of my plants to squash bugs. I did not this year. They've been pretty mellow this year. And I don't know if that's due to the intercropping. I don't know if that's due to us putting down raised beds and we added a whole bunch of soil, and so maybe a bunch of them got smothered out from last year where they were hibernating. I don't know the reason. There have been a few squash bugs. I still come out here and pick, but they're definitely manageable this year, which is awesome.
They ain't even looking at you, baby. They looking at me. They looking at me. Yeah, they looking at me. Young for a teacher.
All right, y'all, don't judge me. So this is my front yard. My backyard looks a lot better than this, but you know, it is what it is. Oh, look, and there's a little yellow jacket just like laughing at me. He's all, haha, you haven't planted it yet. So this right here is a really bad spot that gets a lot of runoff from the house. Over here is also pretty bad. And then right here is probably the worst because we have a French drain that empties out right there. And basically, we've seeded this so many times, it's ridiculous. Everything just gets washed away, never has a chance to take root. Effects. So I went down to my local nursery to get some peppermint. 2 birds, 1 stone. one peppermint plant. And so I was hoping this was going to work. When I got there, the peppermint, all of their perennial herbs were on sale, and they were $1 for 4-inch pots. They're usually $6 or $7 for each plant, and they were only $1. So I got a ton. I went a little bit overboard, and then I got some extras that I wasn't anticipating getting. I also got some chocolate mint that I'm very excited about, and some Moroccan mint, which just smelled really, really good. So I ended up getting some. Oh, my pumpkins are getting absolutely massive, and I'm so excited about these pumpkins, y'all. All right, we're going on a little pumpkin hunt, but look at the absolute state of that pumpkin. That is about the size of a watermelon right now. A big hunkin' watermelon. And there's 2 more in here that are hiding. Oh, here's one. There's another one. And then there's one more that, you know, is in this jungle somewhere. All right, I do need to get in here and do some pruning, but these are looking pretty good. All right, y'all, I'm not in the greenhouse anymore. I grabbed the harvest and I came back outside. It's a little too toasty in there for me. But we have a pretty sweet onion harvest. Other harvest-wise, this is my basket of goodies. And I have a couple of the green scallop squash, some tomatoes. These banana legs tomatoes, you guys, man, that one it's a really delicious tomato, but it's just consistently putting out a ton of fruit. Banana pepper, and these ones are delicious. I love these peppers. I just harvested a bunch off of it, so it looks a little bare right here, but as you can see, there's a bunch more fruit coming. And then in the back here, this is the Jimmy Nardello, which I grew as an alternative to red bell peppers because, like I said, I don't have very good luck with bell peppers. And so, but I like the sweeter taste of a red bell, and I kind of wanted to make some red pepper jelly. And so I grew that as an alternative. I have had a couple off of it. It does taste really good, but this one was massively being smothered out by that Malabar spinach I took out last week. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it will grow. All right. So I have a harvesting basket, but I'm actually going to use this paper box. And I love me a good energy drink, so don't judge my... That's really the major unhealthy thing that I did in my life is drink energy drinks. So we all gotta have something, right? So look at that, though. That's a pretty good sized shallot. It looks really great. So I did read that you can pull them and then cure them just like you would an onion. So I'm going to put them in this box here so that I can take them over to what I have dubbed my curing station. Even though that's not really what it is. It's just a... Oh, see, look at how beautiful that is. It looks so good. By the way, I'm going to come in here today and I'm going to harvest those cubanelles because they're starting to turn color. And I think you are supposed to harvest them green. So some of these, like that's a pretty big bulb right there. It's kind of sunk into the ground. I probably planted it a little deep. Some of them are looking really good. Some of them are tiny. But honestly, I think I planted them a little too close to the peppers this year. I've done that before, but I think I had the onions in the ground a lot earlier. And so it gave them a chance to size up for a few weeks before I got the peppers in. And this year I did not. This is my succession of squash and zucchini, and I'm really glad that I did this because I didn't get any regular zucchini off of those plants that got smothered out. So I'm pretty sure this is the lemon squash. That one's gray zucchini. The ones with this variegation, I think those are gray zucchini. And then I think this one is the Bianca de Triste, I want to say. So I'm super excited. Those plants have completely taken off, and we're going to be harvesting today. I made an oopsie. So when you plant things, read the packages. I know it should be like the most obvious thing in the entire world, but The type of shallots that I got, I think they're supposed to be like long and skinny and not like the traditional like bulb, like small little bulb that you would get like in the grocery store or something. But I looked up when you harvest shallots, right? And everything I read said that you should harvest them like onions, like when the tops start to fall over. But the variety that I got, I don't think they really do that because they don't really bulb. They just keep growing long and tall and skinny. And so I'm going to get in here and harvest these because I was waiting to harvest them because I really want to get some fall stuff started in here. I want to get a couple of rows of carrots going, and I need the space, y'all. I need the space. Alrighty, so as you can see, the other ones are working about as well as I thought. This was the one that was the original one in here, and it's just not working at all. And that one is pretty sad. So I'm going to have to hand water this section in particular, which honestly explains a lot. Alright, lesson for the day, people. Check your irrigation throughout the season, because this first one was working about as well as I thought it was. Second one's working great. Third one, that is the section where my onions were little tiny, and there's only that one big onion left that was in there. So the rest of them were really sad and small, and now I can see why. This is the exact spot where my son came over, and he helped me plant some rows of carrots, and then they all died because something dried out in here. So this time, I'm just going to be a little better about it and cover this with a board like I should have done. And then my little boy will not be the wiser. He'll think that these are the ones that he planted. As long as you guys don't tell, I won't tell. I have this vine. Here, I'll just show you. This lovely vine is all up in my yard, all up in my garden. And as you can see, it just goes underneath everything, and it keeps popping back up. And this has literally been in my yard since we moved in, and we even built this up. This used to be grass, and now this is a good 12-14 inches above where the grass was, and the vine just still found its way back up. So I mean, it's just something we're gonna live with from now on, apparently, in my life. But this was a volunteer as well, and it grew up in my lawn. And I almost mowed it over by accident when it was little tiny, and I decided to save it because I wanted to see what it looked like. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And this bad boy wants to grow. Like I said, it's right underneath a bird feeder, so there's bird seed in it. But it's absolutely beautiful. I love this variety. And so I think I'm going to try to save seed from this one when it comes, because if it's a strong plant and it wants to grow, then I want to help it. The other big thing that I'm going to be saving seed from this year is the beans. So the dragon tongue bush beans, I have a bunch in here. You can eat these raw. I've harvested a bunch and like thrown them in a stir fry. But you can also save them once they dry, and they're kind of like a pinto bean. So I'm going to save a bunch of those once they're dry, but I'm also going to, for eating, and then I'm also going to save some for seed for next year. I have used mason jars, like the little tiny mason jars in the past, or just little baggies. This year my mom got me these. They're little paper seed bags, and I like them because you can put the seed name, the variety, when you collected it, and then if there's anything you need to note about the variety, you can do so here. But saving seed is incredibly simple and straightforward and doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need anything special to do it. You just need to keep your seeds in a cool, dry place, and they should be good to go for next year. Now, there are some of these things like sunflowers, they seed very readily. So this is St. John's wort, and I had heard about this watching other gardening channels, and I'd heard it referenced as a good tea. You put it in a tea blend, it has a calming effect, and while that is true, it also has an insanely long list of side effects that I would have never known about had I not seen it in this guide. It's not like I was going to go out and grow it anyway, but if I didn't see it in this guide and do some research, I would have never known that. So this is already turning out to be a very fruitful exercise. Cheatgrass thrives in the winter and early spring here. So in our climate, we don't really have shoulder seasons. We have about 2 weeks of actual spring weather and about 2 weeks of actual fall weather. Because we're in the high desert, it goes from very cold to very hot really quickly. And then in the summer into the fall, it goes from very hot to very cold very quickly. And so cheatgrass grows when there's actually water for it to seed and germinate. And then in the later spring and into the summer, when everything dries out and it gets really hot here, the cheatgrass just dries and basically turns into tinder. Anyway, this is my pumpkin and squash alley. I need to get in here and harvest because I'm still getting crookneck squash. I don't know if you can even see that. I'm trying to angle. There's still some crookneck squash back there. I need to get in there and harvest. There was also another scallop squash. I think it's the yellow scallop squash is in here, and it's finally producing too. It took some time for it to grow up out of this mess and get some sunlight and start producing, but it has. And so I'm going to start getting some of those soon too. And then this is my massive pumpkin jungle, and I'm here for it, y'all. There are so many giant pumpkins. I think this one's a Cinderella. I think that one back there, I think is a Long Island cheese. I can't really be sure. There's also some acorn squash in here just outside of the greenhouse. This is what is doing absolutely amazing for me right now. So if you were following along earlier in the season, I planted some regular zucchini in my big raised beds outside, and it got shaded out and squashed by some flowers that I had put in there. It was seed tape. I had never planted those flowers before, so I really didn't know what to expect. And about, I don't know, I want to say it was the beginning of July, maybe mid-July, I planted these because I had just harvested potatoes out of these grow bags, and I really wanted to make sure that I actually got some actual zucchini. So these are my pepper plants. I have what I thought was a poblano back there, but y'all, that's not a poblano pepper. I don't know what that is, but the label's wrong. I don't know if the tag was wrong. I don't know what was wrong, but that's not a poblano pepper. The Hungarian blacks, those are still producing. I did find that when I harvest them super early, before they get to this color, they are not that spicy, and I can handle them. So I've just been harvesting. These ones are obviously, this one's super yellow, so that one's going to be spicy. There are a bunch on here that I'm letting ripen, but I have been harvesting quite a few in the early stages. Because I do want to be able to eat them myself. My husband still likes spicy things, so he eats that stuff, but I have a hard time with it. I think next year, let's see, I saw a big slicer in here. See if I can find it. Oh, there it is. See, they're in there. They're growing. I've harvested a few. Most of what I've gotten out of here, though, have been cherry tomatoes, just because they're so... I think I planted too many. I think I need to pare down to 3 or 4 plants next year. So next year, I think instead of doing what I did with the corn, I'm still going to have corn at the very end, I think, to shade out some of this and give it a break from the afternoon sun. But I think what I'm going to do is put the tomatoes vertical instead of horizontal in these beds. I'm thinking if you're looking down at the tomato beds, I'm going to put them vertical instead of horizontal, and I'm probably going to do an arch trellis for them to grow over instead of across the back here. Another example is Russian knapweed. Again, I'll put a picture up here. But Russian knapweed actually releases a chemical into the soil that makes it impossible for other things to grow. So not only is it aggressive, it's, again, perennial, so it's just there, it's going to stay there, but it puts out chemicals that impede the natural growth of other things that would normally be growing in that area. And so this summer, I went down to the nursery. I got a ton of different mint. I planted it all over my yard to try to outcompete the other weeds that are growing everywhere. And especially my front yard where I'm having a real issue growing grass because it's so sandy. 3 varieties of blackberries. They're all thornless, thank goodness. But this is like the tail end of the harvest. And I got quite a few berries out of it. I got a big bowl harvest out of it. And then I have about half a gallon of a bag that's full. And then I'll add this to that. Check out these peppers, y'all. This is the Sugar Rush Peach. And they are all starting to turn. There's just a couple left that are yellow. So I'll probably be harvesting those in the next couple of days. And then over here, this is my habanero plant. And look at all those habaneros. This is off of one little plant. And a couple of them are starting to turn. All right, next up is my absolute favorite. If you've been watching the past couple of months, you have seen my struggles with this one multiple times. It is bindweed. So bindweed is a pain in the you-know-what. So it's actually really pretty. It looks like English ivy a little bit. It has these pretty white flowers, kind of morning glory-esque. It's really pretty, but it's so insanely persistent, and it will make it almost impossible for anything else to grow. So this one spreads by seed, but then it also spreads by underground root, which is insanely persistent. It is how I have it all over my yard, because it doesn't matter how much I pull up, the plant is still alive underneath. All right, next up we have spurge, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but here's what it looks like. It grows flat in little mats, and if you break the stem, a little white milky substance will come out, which I have this again in my front yard. Not so much in the back that I've seen, but a lot of my backyard is very consistently watered. This one thrives in dry soil. Basically, it can handle a drought, and water is definitely an issue in my front yard, not so much in my backyard. So the key to stopping spurge is early detection. You need to pull it out before it sets seed, because again, these are things that produce a lot of seed with only one plant, and it will spread very quickly. All right, next up we have clover, and I'm going to put the term weed here for clover in quotation marks, because this one's actually not a weed in my yard that I struggle with, because I intentionally put it there. So I thought it was kind of funny that it was a part of the nuisance weed guide, because I put it in my lawn intentionally. Clover is actually a nitrogen fixer, and it thrives in dry soil. So in my front yard, I'll show a picture. I was having trouble growing grass in my front yard. I have seeded it many times. This past year, I mixed in clover seed with the grass seed. I heard that was a good way to help stop erosion, which is an issue I face in my front yard. And the clover looks great. There are actually just patches of clover all over my front yard and very little actual grass, because the grass just has issues. All right, today's harvest was a good one, y'all. We got a bunch of grapes. I got some zucchini. I finally did clean up the shallots and the onions that were curing on the side of my house. The onions still need to cure a little bit longer, but I chopped the tops off so that they can enter their final stage of curing. But I'm super excited about the grapes. Ooh, the lemon squash are starting to produce too. Oh my god. All right, so these are the succession squash that I put in these grow bags right outside my greenhouse. And there's one in there ready to pick. There's one over here ready to pick. I'll go ahead and get that one. Oh, I need scissors. All right. Is anyone else like super impressed when people harvest zucchini without gloves and scissors? Because these things are pretty pokey, y'all. Look at that. Ah, so excited. There's one more I'm going to get in there and grab. To forget that my indoor plants even exist, even though they are literally right above my sink. Like I'm in their line of sight almost every day. And I put them up there so that I would remember them. Apparently that did not work. But alrighty guys, here's what we ended up with. I got a bunch of beets. Here are the flowers, the spinach, the lettuces, and then up here is my kale, my parsley, chard, cabbages, leeks, onions, broccoli, cauliflower, and the kohlrabi. So with the broccoli and the cauliflower, there were a ton of seeds left in those packages. I don't know if you've ever bought cauliflower or broccoli seeds, but there's like 300 seeds in the pack. I've had those seeds for like 5 years and I've never gotten them to successfully grow. So I just threw everything that was left into those trays and we'll see what happens. So red acre cabbage, I'm going to be planting this one just because I heard that it will stay in the ground. So you have like more wiggle room and when you can harvest it. Golden acre cabbage, I'm going to try again. I also have a bunch of radishes in here. I don't think that you're supposed to start radishes in seed trays, right? Because they grow so quick. But the thing is, I've never successfully grown a radish. So maybe I'll just put them aside and I will start them like a week before. I don't know. Maybe when I'm pulling stuff out, I'll just direct seed them. I don't know. For those of you who are new, I am in zone 7A. So I don't really have the ability to grow things outdoors in the winter, but I do have a rather large greenhouse. And so I have tried unsuccessfully now. This is my third attempt. I've had the greenhouse 3 years. This is my third attempt at growing a fall/winter crop of brassicas. The first year, I got the timing wrong. I planted it too late, and by the time they were up and going in the spring, they got way too hot, way too fast. We don't have a very long spring here, and they all bolted. They all went to seed, and so I got absolutely goose egg out of it. The second year, last year, I planted it on time, and I was very excited. I did it correctly, and critters got into my greenhouse. So this is my giant sunflower that got, it was probably 12 or 14 feet tall. It was super, super high up there. It has since died and fallen over. And it's just like hanging there. There's the bloom. But if you look behind it, that is a tomato plant that has latched onto it and started to trellis up. So these things have just gone hog wild in this bed. And yeah, and I done gave up, guys. Alrighty, so this is what I have from the stalks. There's still a few over there, but they have squash. And beans growing up them, so I'm just gonna kind of let those ones be. And then this is what I got from my tomatoes. There's still a ton back in there. Lots and lots of cherry tomatoes. But I'm really excited about all of those Romas back there. This is my pride and joy this year, you guys. I'm so stinking excited about these pumpkins. These are absolutely huge. And this one I think is probably ready to be harvested. These are massive. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And then over here, I got a Long Island cheese pumpkin. And I'm very excited about this one because I heard they taste really good. And I didn't think it was gonna size up enough in the couple of weeks that we have, but now I totally think it is. I'm gonna have to bring it inside and have it cure inside, but it's sized up pretty nicely. But I'm considering overwintering a few of these pepper plants that look really good and seeing if I can get them to produce even earlier next year. One being that gigantic Sugar Rush peach plant, because that is just insane. And so if I can get that going a little bit earlier next year and give it a head start, I know I'll get multiple flushes out of it. This jalapeno looks amazing, and the habanero looks good now, but it took a very long time for it to get that far. And then the other one, so mainly it's just these right here that I want to try to overwinter, and then the Hungarian wax. So I stopped pruning and now they have like fallen over onto each other under their own weight. They were up here and I went behind and I had to like shove them over because they were starting to fall into my neighbor's yard. And my neighbor is very nice, but he is a gardener and I don't think that he would appreciate volunteer tomatoes growing in his yard and one more thing to clean up. So I went in there and I pulled them back onto this side, but what happened is it was way too heavy and has now fallen over on itself. So again, if our frost wasn't coming in the next couple of weeks, I would get in here and figure this out and deal with it. But it's to the point now where everything's going to be done in a couple of weeks, and so it's really not worth my time to go back there. I'm going to stop at the green stalks really quick just to show you all of the beans I had on here are drying wonderfully. It has been raining here, which is really weird. So they're not drying as fast as they probably normally would, but look at this licorice basil. You guys, isn't that so pretty? I think it's just gorgeous. I love it. I got all the squash and it is starting to rain again, so let's take a look and then I'm gonna run inside. Look at all that. So these are like absolutely massive. This is why this is like the size of my hand and this one's even bigger. So this and these ones, this one is probably fine to eat and this one's fine to eat. This one and this one are really big and they're probably very seedy, as is that one. So those are the ones I'm just gonna shred up, but I'll go and weigh it and put how many pounds this is on the screen. But this is insane and I probably have at least this much inside already. Rest of the harvest from the greenhouse and it looks awesome. I got a few bell peppers in there and bunch of hot and sweet peppers, and it has not stopped raining. But I did want to tell you, hey, look what a banana pepper looks like if you leave it on the plant and it ripens to its full color. I've never seen one this color. I thought they ripened to the bright yellow. I thought that that's what a ripe banana pepper looked like, but this is like bright orange. It looks so cool. It's still really stiff. It's not soft at all. But I did hear that they start to taste different. Like most peppers taste different when they fully ripen. So I'm excited to taste this one and see how different it is from your standard banana pepper. I saw this yesterday and I meant to grab it and I just remembered, so I went back there and grabbed it. So most of the cucumber plants are pretty much done. There are a couple of Armenian longs back there that have pollinated, but they're only like this big and like little tiny. So I want to end on this bed. I want to end on this side of the bed so that I'm giving that stuff as much time to mature as I possibly can. All right, y'all, so this is the mess I'm talking about. So there's a Roma tomato plant. You can kind of see the fruits in there, and there's a whole bunch more back there that you can't see because of all of these flowers. And this flower, I cut this sucker back down to its stem. It had about that much stem left in the ground. I cut this back a couple months ago and it's back with a vengeance. So I'm gonna start over here, and I think I can start by cutting out this squash. And I might have to leave the sunflower because there's tomatoes like intertwined with it, so that one might have to stay there. Look at all those tomatoes, y'all. They look beautiful. Day 2 of frost cleanup, or before the frost cleanup. Our first frost is supposed to hit in 2 days now. It is Thursday. It is supposed to freeze Saturday night. So I have to get this taken care of. I have to get all of the fruit off of these tomato plants, and I'm just going to pull them out because I honestly just can't get to them. That was my bad. I shouldn't have put them where I put them. I think I had zip tied this trellis to the T-posts, and the zip tie snapped and all of this came falling forward. And so it's honestly just a giant mass right now. And it's taking me a while to get through it because if I pull anything, then the whole thing tries to come with it. So I'm cutting sections out and then pulling that section out, and it's just being very time consuming right now, especially since I'm trying to pull off the tomatoes that I see as I go. So I will pick this back up tomorrow. Alrighty everyone, this is what we got today. I'm nowhere near done, but these are all of the green tomatoes, and most of these are like really good size Romas actually. So I'm actually really excited about that. So I'll get those inside and figure out a place to put them. This is my red tomatoes so far, and these are the ones that are starting to blush. Oh, there's a green one in there. Starting to blush, so I'll just keep a closer eye on those than the green one. So back in there, as you can see, there was a T-post in the middle, and there were zip ties holding two pieces of trellis together and attached to that T-post, and the weight of the tomatoes literally pulled the T-post out of the ground, and both of the pieces of trellis collapsed in on each other. So yeah, this is why I should have been pruning throughout the season, you guys. I gave up pruning a couple months ago, and that was a mistake. This is what is left of the 2025 garden outside. Thank goodness I still have a greenhouse, or I'd be really sad right now. So I pulled a couple of pumpkins. These are just not cured yet, and so I'm just gonna take them inside and cure them inside because I don't want the frost to damage them. So after tonight, it's supposed to bounce back up, and I think on the forecast right now, it's supposed to immediately go back up to like 38 at night, and then it's supposed to be in the low 40s for about a week. So really, this is the only cold night, and it's a bummer because there are a bunch of winter squash over here that if I could get like another week and a half out of it, I could probably get them to the point where I could take them inside and cure them inside. But doesn't look like that's gonna happen. Blackberries, this is the first year that I've gotten any kind of harvest out of it, and so I'll have to look that one up and see how much and when I should prune those ones. I have another blackberry that has thorns in it, and it's in a pot, and I honestly should plant it out because it's been in the pot for a couple of years, and it's a big pot. It's a substantial pot, but I was gifted the blackberry, and I don't think that the variety is suitable for a pot. When I bought this, and I double checked, I went and looked at the tag because I keep the tags for all the fruit trees that I get in case I forget the name or whatever. I have a reference. On the tag it says that it's self-pollinating, and then I googled it and it is not self-pollinating. So I don't know if it was just a misprint or what happened, but on the tag it said self-pollinating. I only bought one, and this spring it was covered in the most beautiful flowers I've ever seen. It was so pretty, and then nothing pollinated because it's not actually self-pollinated. All right, so just for a little bit of context, these grapes have been here for 3 years now. So this was the first year that I got a really big, good harvest out of them. I think I have 14-gallon freezer bags full of grapes. I'm waiting for my steam juicer to arrive before I can process them. But I got a ton of grapes off of them this year. I'm super happy about it. Alrighty, y'all. This is the state of things that I'm leaving them today. I'm actually gonna clean up all of this mess, and it keeps going. It keeps going over here. I'm gonna clean up all this mess, and then I'm gonna head inside because I'm tired and I want dinner. Alrighty, y'all. This is what I got. I'm actually super excited. I have never grown big pumpkins like this, and I have 1, 2, 3 that are pretty sizable, so I'm super excited about that. These are all my squash. I only got a couple of blue hubbards, a couple acorns, and then a few little tiny pumpkins, and then I got one big butternut. There were several on this plant that were tiny and underripe, and they rotted because it froze. I wouldn't have been able to save them even if it did freeze. That's why I wasn't too worried about getting out here and getting these. But there is a little bit of frost damage on some of these, which is my bad. I thought that they were cured enough. Over the past few weeks, I have been workshopping ideas for how I'm going to maximize this space next year and where I'm going to plant things, because I got a lot this year. Okay, I'm definitely not complaining. It was definitely a very productive year. Oh look, I mixed up. So I'm definitely not complaining, but there were things that went wrong this year that are totally fixable, and I just didn't think of everything because it's physically impossible. That's why we experiment. That's why we grow gardens, so that we can figure out what works and do a little better next year. So this is my winter squash that I had just outside my greenhouse, and it produced like crazy. I will definitely do this again. I don't know if I'm gonna use these grow bags or if I'm just going to find a spot in my raised beds to put them. But the timing on these worked out really well, so I'll start my normal squash right after my first frost, but these I started I think in mid-July, so about 6 weeks later, and I got a ton of vegetables off of them, so I'm super excited about that. But it's time for these to come out now and go in the compost bin. Guys, check this out. There are spiders, these little garden spiders, chilling inside of the greenhouse panels. And they started getting in there. I haven't seen any all summer, and then the second it dropped below freezing, I've been seeing multiple of them in these panels since then. They're just trying to stay warm. Can't blame them. Side note, I have never seen pineapple sage bloom before, and it is so pretty. It's so pretty and red and vibrant. I love it. I think I always hack it back too much at the end of the season before it does this. I will also give you a peek at my seedlings for the fall. So I had to reseed these because something came in and chomped them all up. So they're a little smaller than I would really like them to be at this stage. It is almost November Y'all, it is Halloween today when I'm filming this, and so these are pretty small for right now because I was hoping to plant them out in the next couple of weeks, and they're kind of tiny, so it's probably not going to happen, but they are coming along. And I put them in a little jail. I had this hardware cloth from when I put it underneath the beds, and so we had an extra piece, and so I just kind of shaped it around so that I could keep these seedlings in the greenhouse. Another cool thing is that there was a critter in the greenhouse that came, and you can still kind of see right here, it like gnawed off a bunch of the tops of my carrots that I had planted here, and a bunch of them died. But there's still a few left in there that came back. All of them were pretty much mowed down, but those ones came back, so that's exciting. So that means I'll have to direct sow just a little bit less, I guess, when it comes time to take all of these peppers out, which is coming soon. So it is the end of October. I can probably get a couple more weeks out of these. So I'm gonna get I bought a giant thing of garlic for like $2.50 from the grocery store because garlic is cheap right now because it's in season. People just harvested it. So I got a giant bag of it for $2.50, and I just picked all of the giant cloves off of it. And some of these are like real big honkers. This is just soft net garlic. I really like planting hard net garlic, but you generally either have to save your seed or order seed garlic for that because it's hard to find that at a grocery store. It doesn't store as well. And so, but my mom brought me back some seeds from Hawaii. I'm a little scared because Hawaii's climate could probably not be any different from ours. So we'll see how it goes. But some of them I think are cold tolerant, or maybe they're annuals, and so it might be okay. But I'm excited. There are some really random things in there. But yeah, that's the plan for today, and we're gonna get started with the mushroom basket. Is not prolific, y'all. I wish it was more prolific, but I will still grow it because it is meaty and sweet and absolutely delicious. I have never tasted a tomato that I like more, and I'm not even exaggerating, than the mushroom basket tomato. And I ran out of seed last year and I didn't realize it. So I didn't grow any this year, and I was very sad about it. And I did not have any holy basil, which seems like a crime. Tulsi basil, I did not have any, which is so weird, that I had all of these special varieties of basil and I somehow didn't have holy basil. I've heard that one is amazing for tea, so I'm super excited about that one. I will be starting, I think it has 100 seeds in it. So I'll be starting a couple of these ones over the winter just to see if I can get it. This one's funny. So if any of you have seen the video where I showed my front yard, it's really sad and looks terrible. And I told my husband that I joked with him that if I can't get grass to grow out there, then I'm just going to plant giant pumpkins and turn our entire front yard into a pumpkin patch. And he laughed and I laughed. And then I was like, actually, that's not a bad idea. Next up, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but it's a type of hibiscus. It is, I'll put the name on the screen. This one's a hibiscus, and it says it's also a perennial, but again, it's a perennial in like zones 9 through 11 or something like that. But this is a white hibiscus, and so that should be fun. And then she also got me a roselle hibiscus. So I have two types of hibiscus that I'm super excited about because I planted some hibiscus earlier in the spring this year. I got lemon squash. This one I usually get from my gardener, but they were sold out. So I got this one, and I love lemon squash. I saved seeds from a lemon squash. It was not a lemon squash when I harvested it. So squash cross-pollinates so readily. It's insane. So what you will get out of it off of that plant will be the squash, right? But if you save the seeds from that squash and then try to plant them the next year, what I got was like a little, I think it crossed with the baby pumpkins that I had last year. So I had like little baby pumpkin looking things, which is fine. I just use them as decoration, but I didn't actually get any lemon squash out of it. And then Golden California Wonder Bell. So I have not generally had good luck growing bell peppers, but I did get a bunch to produce this year. They didn't produce a lot, but they did produce. But I'm thinking that next year I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to give it the good old college try. I'm going to do a victory lap. And does anyone else call it that? Like when you do an extra year of college, we call it a victory lap. Anyway, so I'm going to get these planted next year, and I'm just going to make sure that I am fertilizing consistently, because all of the rest of my peppers do fine if I neglect them and only fertilize them twice. So this one is the candlenut tree and kukui. I don't know how to say that. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, it says it can go in a large pot, and you apparently grind it up and it can be used as like a thickener instead of like cornstarch, but it has a nutty flavor, obviously, because it's a nut. But allow up to 4 months for the seeds to germinate. Y'all, I thought I had seen some long germination times, but my goodness, 4 months. That's insane. Give it a try. So we're going to start with Mamaki? I don't know. This says that it is a perennial, but I looked it up and it's only a perennial in zones 10 through 12. Obviously, I do not live in zones 10 through 12. I live in zone 7. So this is something that I will likely have to either bring inside or bring into the greenhouse. But it's a tree or shrub. So yeah, it says that it can go in containers, but it is a tea tree. I'm very excited about that. That's going to be fun. Helps lower blood pressure and cholesterol and has a calming effect. These Hungarian wax peppers, y'all. So it's like intertwined with this other pepper that I don't actually know what it is. But these Hungarian wax, I will definitely grow these every year. I am not a huge spicy pepper person, and now that these are turning yellow, they're gonna be spicy, but I harvested so many green, and there's another big old flush right there. I harvested so many peppers off of these 2 plants. I swear, these plants produce like crazy. Sugar Rush Peach, and I really thought that they were going to have time to get bigger and produce this flush, but what happened was it just got too cold. So it stayed above freezing in the greenhouse, but peppers like hot. They don't like above freezing temperatures. It has to actually be warm. And so it's been getting down. It's been dipping below freezing a couple of nights, but that still means that it's been mid 40s in the greenhouse. Right next to it is some celery that is starting to grow through everything that's trying to smother it out, which is really hilarious because I came through and I like hacked the celery down to almost nothing just a couple of months ago, and I preserved a bunch of it. I made a ton of celery salt and I froze a bunch. I gave some to my mom to freeze dry the celery. If you've never had freeze dried celery or done that before, it's really, I was super impressed with how well it holds the flavor. One of the seeds that I got brought back is actually a tree, and it said that it can take up to 4 months to germinate. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on that. I'm gonna keep it inside, but I was also thinking if it's a Hawaii seed and it takes 4 months to germinate, then it's probably not gonna do well germinating in cooler weather. So I might have to like baby that one a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that. This is the saddest looking bed in the greenhouse, and it kind of is what it is. So this lemon basil, the frost came and killed it. It did get just slightly too cold in here for it. Basil is like really super sensitive. Still smells so good. Basil is so sensitive to cold. But there are a ton of tomatoes that are in here that are blushing or ripe, and so they will be coming out, and I'll get a whole nother big harvest out of it. This was a good tomato year. Last thing, I'm gonna take you outside and show you my grow bags. So these are the two grow bags. So these are the two grow bags that I planted the garlic in. I've never grown garlic in grow bags before, so we will see how this works out. This is a total experiment this year. I didn't save any seed from my seed garlic from last year, so I just grabbed some at the grocery store and I found the really big cloves and I stuck them in here, and we will see what happens. I do want to show you the peppers before I go, because the peppers are still looking absolutely amazing. Look at these guys. They are just still completely loaded. I needed to make some breakfast burritos the other day, so I came out and I harvested a bunch of peppers, and there's still a ton left, and they're doing wonderful. They're just not producing more. So whatever's on here is what is on here. Alrighty, y'all. These sweet potatoes are not going to win any awards, but this is my first year growing them, or attempting to grow them. And I literally gave them like 2 square feet. I only put a few slips in. My ones that I put outside, because I did half inside the greenhouse and half in grow bags, the ones in the grow bags died because it got too cold for them, even though it didn't even get down to freezing. So honestly, the fact that I got any to grow in the greenhouse, I'm kind of stoked about. This is all the remnants of a critter family that was living in the greenhouse. And we have since gotten rid of them, but we did not clean any of this out because I couldn't get to any of this. So these are just like leftover peppers from when they were decimating them earlier in the season. And the evidence is still here of their crimes. All right, y'all. So this is actually really funny. All of the dead stuff back here I thought was the cherry tomato plant, which a lot of it is over here, but like back here, that's basil. So I interplant basil in with my tomatoes because it does repel tomato hornworms pretty well. I have not had a hornworm in my greenhouse since I started doing this, knock on wood. I don't know if this is just me or if anyone else does this, but when I buy like the big stalks of celery from the store, I only use a couple of them, and then they end up sitting in the crisper drawer in my refrigerator, and then they end up going bad. So honestly, this is a really great solution. Just grow your own celery and it stays alive, and then you go and cut off however much you need for a recipe, and you leave the rest there, and then it's there when you need it. So these are Sugar Rush Peach. If anyone watches Little Mountain Ranch, she ate one of these, and I think everyone who she didn't know what they were, and I think everyone who was watching like collectively gasped and was like, "No, don't do it!" And she did it anyway, and she really, really hated her life. And then before we get into it, guys, look at how beautiful my cabbages look. So these are the 2 cabbages that I seeded when I should have seeded everything. And they look beautiful, and I might actually get something out of these. So I have quite a few brassica type things because we don't really have a long enough spring or fall to grow them in the shoulder seasons because we don't really have shoulder seasons here. And so I'm playing around with the timing to see if I can get those to work, because honestly, I've never had kohlrabi and I really just want to try it. I think that they either got munched on or died. I'm not sure what happened to them, but this is what happens when you leave your garden unattended. One day it's just gone and you don't really know why. We are at the point where it starts getting dark. In my state where I live, it starts getting dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon, which means that basically the weekend is the only time that is available to do any gardening, which means that things are going to get neglected and they need to be able to handle a little bit of neglect. I have also reached the point where I've turned off all of my outdoor water. I have quite a few brassica type things because we don't really have a long enough spring or fall to grow them in the shoulder seasons because we don't really have shoulder seasons here. And so I'm playing around with the timing to see if I can get those to work because honestly, I've never had kohlrabi and I really just want to try it. Here is the plan. In this really big bed, I changed my mind just a little bit. I'm going to put purple carrots and rainbow carrots. I chose these two because they are on the smaller side, so they have a shorter days to maturity. I think both of these are 60. So the other types of carrots that I have are like the big, long red ones. Oh, look, guys. That is what we like to see. That is life. Life in this bed. So good to see. So both of these have a shorter days to maturity, which is what I want over the winter because the days are so short that we honestly just don't get a lot of sun for growing things even at the normal rate. I think it was last year I got carrot seeds in the ground and it was too cold to germinate. I think I did it like the first week of January or something like that, and it was just too cold in here. We had a pretty cold winter last year. And so the seed didn't actually germinate until like mid-February when they had a big enough stretch of warm enough weather to germinate. So the cool thing is things go really slowly in the winter. That's not the cool thing. But the cool thing is a lot of these baby seedlings that I put in here, most of them survived. And I am pleasantly surprised because I had neglected them. I probably waited about 2 weeks too long to plant out a lot of these things, and they survived. That doesn't mean that they're not stunted and they're not going to have issues, but they are still alive in the ground, which is something. So really, we're just going to take the wins where we can get them and keep moving forward.